Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Ishra Jahan with top stories. Biden, Chattanooga's shooter was perverted jihadist. David Cameron treated for ear infection on holiday. Civil rights activist and ex-NAACP Chair Julian Bond dies. Indonesian plane missing over Papua region. Bangabandhu statue at Kolkata's Mother's Wax Museum. Ronaldo tops the list of 20 most charitable athletes in the world. Now, the detail. Speaking at a memorial service in the Tennessee town, Mr. Biden also called the suspect perverse ideologue. U.S. authorities said Mohammed Yusuf Abdul Aziz acted alone when he attacked two military facilities in Chattanooga. But the FBI has said it has not yet been able to establish a motive. Mr. Biden was joined by U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter and families of the victims for the service a month on from the 16th July attack. The vice president alluded to the recent loss of his own son, Beau Biden, a former attorney general of Delaware who died from brain cancer in May. "I wish I were not here," he told the families. "I have some sense of how hard it is for you to be here. I didn't have the privilege of knowing any of them personally, but oh, I knew them." Mr. Biden added, "Confident, determined, trustworthy, compassionate, and always, always loyal. I knew them, they were my son, and so many other sons I know." FBI investigators say Abdul Aziz, 24, acted alone in the crime, but say they are still unsure whether he was inspired by radical ideology or driven by mental illness, as his family has suggested. The meaning of their killing is not yet unclear. What combination of disturbed mind, violent extremism, and hateful ideology was at work? "We don't know," said Mr. Carter. Abdulaziz, a former engineering student, was shot dead by police after opening fire at a military recruitment center and later a reserve center 7 miles away. Mr. Carter has ordered the military to review its procedure for protecting American troops inside the United States and to step up security at recruiting stations. Military chiefs have until Friday to present their plans. The Prime Minister had been suffering from a condition called otitis, also known as swimmer's ear, which causes inflammation of the ear canal. Downing Street said he has now recovered and was enjoying the rest of his summer break with his family. It is not the first time the PM has had an injury on holiday. He was stung by a jellyfish in Lanzarote last year. Mr. Cameron is in Alvor, Portugal with his wife Samantha and their 3 children this year. According to the NHS, otitis causes redness and swelling of the external ear canal. It is often referred to as swimmer's ear because repeated exposure to water can make the ear canal more vulnerable to inflammation. Bond died in Florida after a short illness, the Southern Poverty Law Center said in a statement. It has described him as a visionary and tireless champion for civil and human rights. Bond was also a writer, poet, politician, and a professor. He co-founded the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in the 1960s, organizing anti-segregation protests and voter registration drives. He was elected to the Georgia House of Representatives when black people became eligible to vote in the 1960s and served in the Georgia legislature for 2 decades. He served as the SPLC founding president in the 1970s, as board chairman of the NAACP in the 2000. When asked by the BBC whether black Americans had achieved equality with white people, he said that they were far, far from it. Black skin still acts as a mark of difference. For many white Americans, a negative difference, he said. He continued to champion the cause in newspaper columns and on TV shows, even hosting NBC's late-night comedy show Saturday Night Live. With Julian's passing, the country has lost one of its most passionate and eloquent voices for the cause of justice, the SPLC said in its statement. He advocated not just for African Americans but for every group, indeed every person subject to oppression and discrimination, because he recognized the common humanity in us all. Mr. Bond is survived by his wife, Pamela Horwitz, a former SPLC staff attorney, and 5 children by his previous marriage to Alice Clopton. Mr. Menem, 85, said he could not attend because of health reasons. He is one of the 13 people accused of obstructing the investigations. He has repeatedly rejected the allegations. The attack against the Amia Jewish Cultural Center in the heart of the Argentine capital killed 85 people and injured more than 300. Argentine prosecutors said it was planned and financed by Iran and carried out by Hezbollah, the Lebanese Shia Islamist movement. The Iranian government has always denied any involvement. The trial is expected to last at least a year. More than 100 witnesses will be heard. Mr. Menem's former intelligence chief Hugo Anzoragay also missed the trial, citing health reasons. He was sentenced to 7 years in jail in 2013 for his role in a scheme to smuggle weapons and ammunition to Ecuador and Croatia. He was avoided serving time in jail because of his age and because of his immunity as a senator for La Rioja province. Relatives of the victims say there is a culture of impunity and intimidation in Argentina that have hampered the investigations. Argentine society is waiting for a response based on the real truth, while those that are here today did everything to prevent them. Around 200 people were reportedly injured in the attack. Government forces have been regularly attacking Doma and its surrounding areas in recent months with airstrikes and helicopter barrel bombs. Hundreds of civilians have been killed alongside opposition fighters. Unverified images uploaded by activists said to be of the aftermath of Sunday's airstrikes showed a marketplace destroyed, with surrounding buildings in ruins and vehicles on fire. The local coordination committees, a network of anti-government activists, said that rescue workers were digging through the rubble in search of survivors. A Doma-based activist told the Associated Press news agency that the situation was catastrophic, adding that clinics in the area were full and many of the wounded were being rushed in civilian cars to other medical facilities since ambulances were overwhelmed. The strikes are aimed at stopping rebel groups, including the Islamist rebel group Jaish al-Islam, from firing rockets from Doma into Damascus, which is only about 7 miles away. An airstrike on Wednesday reported killed at least 37 civilians in Doma, including 4 children. The latest reported strikes coincide with the first visit to the country by UN humanitarian chief Stephen O'Brien since he took up the post in May. Viewers, will take a short break. Indonesian plane missing from over Papua region. India court says Maggi noodle ban legally untenable. Bangladesh assures India of help in tackling fake currency notes. Pound falls following back of England's statement. Sania Mirza Martina Hingis reach Rogers Cup semi-finals. Let's move to the next news. The Trigana air flight took off from the regional capital Jayapura for Oxybil in the south at 14:21 local time. But contract was lost. Villagers from Oppak, around 25 km from Oxybil airport, say they saw a low-lying aircraft crash into a mountain, according to local police. Rescue teams will continue their search at first light on Monday morning. The ATR 42-300 twin turboprop plane was carrying 44 adult passengers, 5 children and infants, and 5 crew. He took off from Sentani Airport in Jaipura but lost contact with ground control half an hour at 14:55. Transport Ministry spokesman Julius Barata confirmed the disappearance. Unconfirmed reports suggest weather was the likely cause. We are not sure what happened to the plane yet and we are coordinating with local authorities, he told. Officials later said a second plane had been sent to look for the missing one but was turned back because of the bad weather. Oxybil is a mountainous area where weather is very unpredictable. Trigana Air Director of Operations Penny Samiranto told AFP it can suddenly turn foggy, dark and windy without warning. We strongly suspect it's a weather issue. It's not overcapacity as the plane could take 50 passengers. Nestle had challenged the ban ordered by the country's food safety regulator in June after some tests found lead levels beyond statutory limits. The Swiss food multinational had always said its products are safe. Thursday's ruling came after a day India separately sued Nestle for $100 million over unfair trade practices. The complaint against Nestle is that it caused damage to consumers through misleading advertisements related to its Maggi noodles product. On Thursday, the Bombay High Court called June's ban on the popular noodles arbitrary and said it violated the principles of natural justice. The court directed Nestle to send 5 samples from each batch of Maggi for testing to 3 labs, and only if the lead is found to be lower than permitted they will start manufacturing and sell again. Nestle said its noodles are safe as seen in the results of tests conducted in other countries including the US, Britain and Singapore. The instant noodles arrived in India in 1983 and can be found in corner shops across India. Two Indian laboratories in the western state of Goa and the southern city of Mysore also recently cleared the noodles, but the findings had dismissed by India's Food Safety Authority, saying there were lapses in the tests. Nestle said in statement on Wednesday that it had tested 27,000 samples of the noodles by several accredited laboratories in India and abroad, and each of these tests have shown lead to be far below the permissible limits. But the company, which has 80% of India's instant noodles market, had already destroyed 400 million packets of Maggi noodles. The instant noodles arrived in India in 1983 and can be found in corner shops across the country. A wax statue of Father of the Nation Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman had been set up at Kolkata's Mother's Wax Museum. The Secretary Ministry of Information of the Bangladesh government, Mortuza Ahmed, participated in the unveiling of this statue. Mortuza was invited by the chairman of West Bengal Housing Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, Debashish Sen. The statue was set up on August 14, 2015. The museum is modeled after London Mother Tussauds Wax Museum and houses prominent personalities like Rabindranath Tagore, Mahatma Gandhi, Swami Vivekananda, Paramhansa Dev and many others. Speaker Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhary MP has said that National Human Rights Commission and government need to work together to build an exploitation and discrimination-free society. NHRC will not only work for giving strategic plan but also for forwarding suggestions to the government for implementation of the plan of protecting human rights, she added. The speaker made the remarks while addressing an inaugural session of consultation meeting on second 5-year strategic plan as the chief guest organized by NHRC CIRDAP Dhaka. We would have to work together to ensure the basic needs including poverty alleviation, education and health for the freedom, she added. She gave importance of working together to capture acquisition of women empowerment, declining the percentage of women and child death, gender equality and food safety, etc. NHRC Chairman Professor Dr. Mizanur Rahman, Women and Children Affairs Minister, Meher Afroz Shumki, MP and State Minister for Foreign Affairs Ministry, M. Shahryar Alam, MP, NHRC Member of India Justice, Shri Dharmar Murugasan, NHRC Member of Nepal Justice, Prakash Chandra Sharman, OSCE, and UN Resident Coordinator Robert D. Watkins were present. Bangladesh has assured India of full cooperation in tackling the menace of fake Indian currency notes, which are also being used for funding human and drug trafficking and other nefarious activities in that country. At the maiden meeting of the Joint Task Force on FICN held in Dhaka on August 12-13, the Bangladesh side told India they have put in place stringent measures for checking influx and circulation of fake notes that were also adversely affecting. The former economic government sources said Bangladesh, representing by additional Inspector General Mohammad Moklasum Rahman, said FICN was being used there for financing human and drug trafficking besides several other antisocial activities. High-quality counterfeit currency is currently a favorable method being adopted by some state agencies to fund terrorist activities in India. The two countries had identified as a high-priority area tackling routing of fake currency notes from Bangladesh, which has emerged as a base of Pakistan ISI for pumping counterfeit notes into India during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to that country in June. Policymakers voted 8-1 to hold rates, and the bank said the outlook for inflation was muted. The pound fell more than a cent against the dollar to $1.5501 and lost nearly to 1 cent against the euro to 1.4216 euro. However, the FTSE 100 recouped some early losses to close 5.32 points lower at 6,747.09. Analysts had been expecting two of the bank's Monetary Policy Committee members to vote for a rate rise, with some even suggesting three could back an increase. But in the end, only Ian McCafferty voted in favor of lifting rates from the historic low of 0.5%. The chances of an interest rate hike before the end of 2015 have seemingly receded markedly. Indeed, it looks more questionable as to whether the Bank of England will act early on in 2016, said Howard Archer, chief UK and European economist at IHS Global Insight. On the stock market, shares in RSA Insurance fell 2.7% after Zurich Insurance said it would not overpay for the UK company. Zurich admitted last month it was considering making a bid for RSA. Shares in mining firm Rio Tinto edged up to 0.3% despite the company reporting a sharp drop in second quarter profits as the sector continues to be hit by falling commodity prices. Underlying earnings fell 43% to $2.9 billion, with earnings at Rice Iron Ore Division down 55% to $2.1 billion. Shares in insurer IVA rose 0.9% after it reported half-year operating profits of £1.17 billion, up from £1.07 billion last year and ahead of analysts' expectations. Soros Fund Management now holds just 60,000 shares worth $4.88 million, according to a regulatory filing. That is down from $370 million worth of shares at the end of March. Alibaba listed in New York last September. Its shares hit record highs in November but since then have fallen by 37%. Last week, the company disappointed analysts on Wall Street with its latest quarterly results, reporting its slowest quarterly revenue growth in 3 years, up to 28% to $3.2 billion. Mr. Soros's firm also sold shares in the Chinese online search engine Baidu but bought shares in Time Warner and Facebook. Mr. Soros, an investor and philanthropist, came on to a joint second on Forbes' list of highest-earning hedge fund managers this year, bringing in $1.2 billion in 2014. Trading at Dhaka Stock Exchange DSE has resumed after it was suspended for technical problems. The trading resumed at 12:10 p.m. after being suspended for 1.5 hours, said DSE Deputy General Manager Shofikur Rahman. Earlier, DSE trading was suspended due to technical glitches. Trading of the Wednesday was scheduled to start at 10:30 a.m., but it could be started due to technical problems. Viewers, now the sports news. Say what you will about Cristiano Ronaldo, but no one can deny his generosity. The top 20 athletes gone good list named the Portuguese superstar the most charitable athlete on the planet, beating out the likes of John Cena, Neymar, and Maria Sharapova. Ronaldo once donated $83,000 to pay for a child's brain surgery and used $165,000 to fund a Portuguese cancer center among a laundry list of good guy gestures. Cena made it to number 2 for his involvement in the Make-A-Wish Foundation and Neymar number 5 for helping FIFA's 11 Against Ebola campaign. Top-ranked women's tennis doubles pair of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis cruised to the semi-finals of the Rogers Cup with a 6-4, 6-2 win over the Shan sisters Hou Qing and Yong Zhan. Hou Qing and Yong Zhan got off a great start on Friday, winning the first 3 games, but Hingis and Mirza reeled off 10 of the next 11 games to build a 6-4 to 4-0 lead. The teams then held its serves until the number 1 seeded Swiss-Indian pairing had the straight-set victory. We have become really solid over the last 3 months, especially with the win at Wimbledon, and I'm happy now we are playing. Hingis said after the match, even when we were down 3-0 in the first set, we managed to find a way. We are showing we have really improved and we are playing better with each match. Mirza was asked about all the support the duo had been getting throughout the week in Toronto. It's always good. We are thankful that we are fan favorites in a lot of places, unless the course we are playing people from that country, she said. But we have a lot of fun. The fans like it too. We have a lot of fun together in the matches, and I think they feed off that. I think we feed off each other. Also, I made the finals here last year, so it's really nice to be back in the semi-finals again. Awaiting them will be number 4 seeds Caroline Garcia and Katerina Srebotnik, who beat the all-Romanian duo of Ioana Camelia Begu and Raluca Olaru 6-3, 6-2. The head-to-head win-loss count between the two teams is 1-1. Viewers, let's have a look at Millennium TV News Recap. Biden, Chattanooga's shooter, was perverted jihadist. David Cameron treated for ear infection on holiday. Civil rights activist and ex-NAACP Chair Julian Bond dies. Indonesian plane missing over Papua region. Bangabandhu statue at Kolkata's Mother's Wax Museum. Ronaldo tops the list of 20 most charitable athletes in the world. You are up to date with our top stories so far here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log into www.millenniumtv.net. Thank you and stay with Millennium TV. Allah Hafiz.